Alright, so maybe you are all as bored as we are, but if you are stuck in quarantine and you need suggestions, here are my top 10 books that I have to read. And you're going to have to read them too because we're all in this together. We're going to start with The Hobbit. You probably can't tell this is The Hobbit because, as you can see, it has been well loved, well read, and I have 3 other copies, so this one is just the one that I have to read all the time. The Hobbit, for those of you who are not in the fantasy genre, is about an amazing little hobbit named Bilbo who goes on an adventure and finds a ring, which ultimately leads to the Lord of the Rings series. Also a good series. This one is great because of Gollum, because of Gandalf, and because of the exasperation of Bilbo. If you are a fantasy person, you've probably already read it. Go back and reread it. As you can see, I have many, many times. Number 10, not for any particular reason, but because it was on the stack of books that I have. The Hobbit. Quality, and we'll get you 3 more books out of the deal when you're done with this one. Number 2, Coraline. More of a Halloween book, but also great. This is the book that when I cannot sleep at night, I open on my Kindle and read about 3 pages, and then I'm good. Not for sleeping because it's not a good book if you want to sleep, but it just gives you something to think about. Also has an amazing movie. Movie, not really like the book, but quality all its own. For those of you who have seen the movie, there is no Wybie in the book, which is a bit of a bummer, but it more than makes up for it. Coraline is about a girl who goes on an adventure because she likes to explore, and she goes through a door in her house, which we've all wanted to do before, a secret passage, and meets the other mother. And for those of you who are on the internet all the time, I don't need to say more. For those of you who are not on the internet all the time, don't Google Other Mother until you have read this book. This book is great. It is slightly scary. By the way, Hobbit, rated G. Coraline, also rated G with a leaning towards terror of PG. You'll love this book. You'll think about it for years to come. Awesome in quarantine. Go look for things around your house. Be explorers like Coraline. If I'm doing my math right, we're on number 8. Witches. You might be sensing a theme. This is just books I like. Witches is a wonderful, wonderful book. Plus, great one to read with your grandmother over Skype. Don't get near your grandmother. She's going to be sick. Here we have The Witches. This is not a fairy tale. This is about real witches. And it's amazing. You might have read it in school. We didn't. We read other books by the author, Roald Dahl, which, by the way, we'll be doing a series on only Roald Dahl books because there are so many amazing ones in there. But this is the one to read on quarantine because it makes you actually really glad you can't leave your house and nobody can come and get you. So, Witches, wonderful, gives you some pointers and then you can look for people. Also, the pictures are incredible and it's a beautiful, beautiful story about a boy and his grandma and Norway, and you'll want to go to Norway after you read it. On to number 7, The Westing Game. You have probably read this in junior high or high school, and I'm letting you know you need to erase all memory you had of reading it in junior high and high school and go back and actually read it to enjoy it. Do not do worksheets on this book. It's not a book to do worksheets on. It's just a great book. If you like board games, you like this book. It is a mystery. It is fabulous. There is someone who's randomly just blowing up places, not to be malicious, just because they are. There is just an incredible amount of insanity and pure busyness. Plus, you'll understand the stock market when you're done with it, which was an advantage. Also, you just really enjoy all the characters. They're really, really good. I guarantee you will not solve the mystery before Turtle does. And if you do, kudos to you, but you don't get anything for it. This is a wonderful book. Author is Ellen Raskin. I think we'll probably go over some of her other books, but on the off chance that we don't, Tattooed Potato and Other Clues, also great. And The Mysterious Disappearance of Noel, also good. I can't really recommend Figs and Phantoms because I don't like that one so much. Witches was rated G. This one is also rated G. Westing Game, erase all memory that you've had before. 10, 9, 8, 7, this is number 6. This is probably the only book you will have never heard of in all of my bookshelves that we go through. This is Sevengill, The Shark and Me. It is nonfiction, and it is the best book ever written. As you can see, it is ex-library. And it's a beautiful story between me and this book because the Ibbotsen County Library had this book for years. And I checked it out devotedly every summer, probably twice, probably thrice. Me and this book are now together forever, and I read it at least once a summer. It is about a diver. It's a real account of a diver and his relationship between the ocean animals that he is swimming with. The main one being Sevengill. If you like Jeremy Wade, if you liked Crocodile Hunter, if you like Jeff Corwin, Zaboomafoo, if you're a Discovery Channel or if you're a Discovery Channel or Animal Planet fan, you're really going to enjoy Sevengill, the Shark and Me. Plus, the descriptions are just incredible. It is a book you need to feel peaceful, which we all probably need right now. Really good book. Going into the top 5, and like I said before, really there's no reason for these being the top 5 other than placement, but all of these could be interchangeable except for my number 1 place, which will never be interchanged by anything. So number 5, this is Cryptid Hunters. Cryptid Hunters is a wonderful book. It is part of a 4-book series. You can read the rest of the series. I have, and really I just like Cryptid Hunters. The rest of them are fine, but this one's the best. Cryptid Hunters has the unfortunate distinction of coming out right before smart technology. There is a bunch of things in there, and we kind of take it for granted nowadays. They predicted smartphones, they predicted drones, they just didn't quite know how they were going to work, so watching them go through that is really fun. The best part about it is they're all going after cryptids, which are beasts that are not really supposed to exist. So they briefly mention the giant squid, which does exist, but then they go into the Mokili Mbembe. Mokili Mbembe is the main focus of this one. You get to travel to the rainforest of Congo, you get to meet the pygmies, plus you get to hang out with Grace and Marty, who are just a grand time, and you'll learn why you could say de jour all the time, and what a moleskin notebook is. There's a lot of learning in this book. It's a good one. Number 5 was also rated G. Number 4, also rated G. This one is Howl's Moving Castle. It has a movie. If you like the movie, great. I don't particularly like the movie because I read the book first. I've heard that people who watched the movie first and then read the book are still fine with the movie, but they don't quite understand why they needed to depart from the book in the movie. Also, Christian Bale shouldn't play Howl. This book is about a girl who's the oldest of 3 daughters, and if you know your fairy tale lore, the oldest of any amount of siblings never amounts to much. So Sophie, the girl, also believes that she's never going to amount to much. Then she gets cursed and goes on an amazing adventure where she meets the moving castle and Howl, and it's just an incredible story. Howl is the funniest person you'll ever find. He's really just a major pill, and Sophie is great. Then you get to meet Calcifer and Michael, and all of them are just wonderful. This is a great book. It's what you need for a laugh, and just, it's quality. And I didn't hear about it until I was probably 19, which is a travesty. So I'm letting y'all know about it now. This is a good one. It also has sequels. I have not read the sequels, but I've heard they're pretty good. Again, good as a standalone. In the same sort of vein, this is number 3. These 2 books are associated in my mind for no reason other than they just are. This is Island of the Ants by the amazing, amazing author Eva Ibbotsen, who writes just quality stories. You might have read some of her other ones. You should just read all of them. They're great. This is Island of the Ants. Island of the Ants is about an island full of elderly women who worry that they aren't going to be able to take care of all the creatures that live on their island. The creatures are their own story, and I'm not going to get around to them, but they're awesome. As you can see from the cover, one at least is a mermaid, and so there's just a mix of real, not real creatures on the island. So they go out and they kidnap children to take care of the creatures, which sounds really creepy when you say it, is not creepy in the book. It's actually just fabulous. So this book is wonderful. It's just a sweet story, and you love the island. You want to be on the island. You wish you were kidnapped by the ants by the end of it. Good book for quarantine because you can escape like nobody's business to this book. So, rated G, number 3. Getting into my top 2. So, this book you've probably also read junior high and high school. Just forget the junior high and high school because I love this book. This book is The Giver. It's got some twists in it for those of you who've read it or seen the movie. It's just wonderful. This is a book that I would have to travel with at all times because I just wanted to go through it. It's about a boy named Jonas and his society. This is a precursor to dystopian fiction. It can't be really called the first dystopian, but it's probably one of the first aimed for younger children. The movie is okay. It ages everybody up quite a bit, but the way that they do receiving memories, as you'll read about in the book or if you've seen the movie, the way they do receiving memories is just incredibly accurate. I really like how they do that in the movie, and I think it adds to how you read the book. It's very pleasant, very good. A good one to read because it'll give you something to think about for a while. This one is also part of a series, but it's kind of an interesting series because This one could stand alone by itself, and the next book in the series, Gathering Blue, could also stand alone by itself, but the two books following it go clearly with The Giver and Gathering Blue. Gathering Blue is another good one to read. Giver is a great one to read. You could read Giver as a standalone, or if you have nothing else to do because you're stuck inside, go for it and read all 4 books in this series. This one is rated G, but there is some freaky parts in it, so you could probably push it up. It's a weird one. If you are younger than 12, ask a parent. If you are not, you're fine. I'm not worried about you. Now we're going to get into my number 1. You're going to see this book more than any other book in my bookshelves because this is my favorite book. This is my favorite book. I have watched the movies. This one, as you can see, is the movie cover. Don't let that fool you. I also frequent the other series. This one I got from Goodwill because I really liked the cover. This one doesn't actually have the whole book. Yet another copy. I actually don't remember where I got this one from. Myers got this one for me. This is the one I used to bring to read to people. This one is my mom's copy, and I just stole it from our house, and I probably should give it back. And you might be saying I've already shown this one. This is the same copy, except this one has been through the mill. So those are my copies. This is my favorite book of all time. It is about a boy who never grows up, and he can fly, and those are the 2 best things in the entire world. So, this book I read all the time. It's just a feel-good story. You get to go to Neverland. There's just great lines in it. I have gone through, and every time I read it, I highlight something new. By the time I get done with this, I'm probably going to have the entire book highlighted. There's several movies with this one. The Disney movie is actually pretty good. There are parts where it's not accurate, but a lot of it is. It does a pretty good job. The way they do Mr. Darling and Captain Hook in that one is just incredible. The 2003 with the incredibly cute Jeremy Sumpter, also good. Not 100% accurate, but there's a lot more accurate things. I believe Disney is doing a new live action movie, plus there's plays. It's just a quality book, quality movie. And if you get into the Peter Pan lore, I think there's other books that you can read. This is the only one I ever wanted to read. This is great. You would really enjoy this. So this is my number 1. It's rated G, and it's free on Kindle. Those are my top 10 books. Not necessarily top 10 for quarantine, but top 10 feel-goods, make you feel happy and a little less depressed about having to stay inside all the time. So, enjoy, read on.